You feeling stuck lately? Like life's passing you by? Get to know M.A.Y.A.
Acronym My Ambition, Your Ambition.
Reconnect with your dreams, your goals, your ambitions. Find your motivation and start to live the life you desire. Explore the M.A.Y.A, My Ambition, Your Ambition podcast at M.A.Y.A.com.
Namaste, everyone. Welcome to episode 26 of M.A.Y.A, My Ambition, Your Ambition. And we're just plowing through lots of great topics in 2021 that I'm sure that you're going to be able to use it in all those domains of your life that we talk about. Those personal, professional relationships you have, financially, physically with your health, spiritually. All these things are really coming together in these current episodes that we've had at the beginning of the year. So hopefully you've been digging into it. But the rule of thumb is that you work at your own pace here at M.A.Y.A. So if you're still back at episode 19, because that was the one that kind of gut punched you, it's okay. Work through it. But I always appreciate when you tune in anyways to the show. So as always, remember, I'd like to say, if you are a first-time listener or viewer, welcome aboard. Buckle up for safety, not because it's necessarily unsafe, but because you might all of a sudden have that aha moment of something that you didn't really think about. Now, if you're a returning viewer or listener, then you know exactly what M.A.Y.A is all about pulling back that veil of self-doubt and sabotage that keeps you from getting to the best version of yourself. Because that's what M.A.Y.A is about, getting to that best version of yourself, who you are now, and transforming into who you want to be. So, as I always say, maybe grab a pencil and paper because I might say something that you might actually want to jot down. Of course, grab your beverage of choice. Today, I'm doing lavender citrus tea along with some water on the side. So I'm doing tea. I'm feeling like, kind of the whole meditation woosah things. I've been drinking tea lately and kind of cutting back on the coffee, but it's probably 5 o'clock someplace. And interesting enough, I have some listeners that listen in France, as well as England. So you guys are probably way past tea time. So you can have a different kind of beverage. You can have some coffee or wine or whatever, whatever you want at this point. But just make sure you're comfortable and you are dialed into the time that we have together. Now, remember, I always say that you can listen to past episodes of M.A.Y.A by going to M.A.Y.A.com. Of course, that's where I will tell you to go to listen to everything. Of course, with every show, there are podcast resources. So when you go to M.A.Y.A.com, go to the podcast resource tab, click there, look at episode 26, and there'll be some supplemental things I'll give you to read to kind of help you understand the episode even more and dig a bit deeper into it. Hopefully by now you are subscribing to my YouTube channel. M.A.Y.A is how you can find it. If you happen, though, to have a podcast platform of choice, I will not hold it against you. You can always find me on iTunes, Google, iHeartRadio, Spotify even, and now you can find me on Amazon Audibles as well. I would also like to think if you're tuning into the show, then you're probably getting social with me as well. You can always find me on Instagram and Twitter, M.A.Y.A_Akai, Facebook, M.A.Y.A Akai Presents. Those are all the ways that you can get involved, get connected with the show. And I always appreciate when everyone does. Of course, before we jump into the show, we have to bring on, she's back, Miriam McQueen, of course, the M.A.Y.A musical muse. How are you, Miriam?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Are you feeling better?
I'm feeling way better. I feel like I'd be better if I had a lavender citrus tea, though.
It's Teavana, which makes all kinds of different types of tea.
I love Teavana.
Teavana used to be stores. Mm-hmm. And I believe maybe they've been out of business now, maybe for, 3 or 4 years. But I used to love going into the stores because, you buy the tea and they package it up for you. But you could sample different stuff to determine, what you liked. Yeah. So, but they have since gone out of business, but still they sell their teas. I want to say, I think Starbucks maybe carries them as well. And you can find them anywhere else. It's really good. So I would recommend the lavender citrus. They even had something mojito. And I was like, oh, I might have to go back and
minty.
Right. There was a mimosa one. And I was like, oh, okay. are we getting festive with the teas?
I was like, damn. Okay.
So they have a new line that's actually really good. So I would, if you're a tea person, check out the new Teavana lines that they have.
A Celestial Seasonings person.
Okay.
Because it's based out of Colorado.
Oh, is it? Okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. At least I think it is. Oh my God. I hope I'm not wrong. But I went to their, I've been to their factory here before where they, you do the tour of where they make it and everything. So.
Does it smell good?
Yes.
It just seems like if you were, touring a tea or a coffee, it would just smell really good.
Yeah, it smelled good. It can be overwhelming, I feel like. The last time I went was years ago, but there's just so many smells. And then at the end of the tour, of course, you're in the gift shop and you can there's so many teas to get. It's amazing. I love
That's
tea.
it's always interesting when you have those type of companies where you live. Like not far from me is a Nabisco, and it always smells like cookies, like chocolate chip cookies all the time.
Ooh. Oh
And
my God.
that's weird because like think about that. It smells like chocolate chip cookies. It's just
Oh
weird.
my.
And it's just like it permeates. And on other days you may drive by and it has a very strong there's another place called World's Finest Chocolate. Which probably I'm not sure if they do. It's a fundraising type company. So they would make candy bars and chocolate Santa Clauses and bunnies.
Yeah.
And they had stores for a while too. But every time you would drive by their factory, it always smelled like chocolate, like hot chocolate is what it smelled like all the time. So I don't know if I could work there. I'm like that would be really challenging to smell. Maybe you wouldn't want it though at that point if you
I was
smelled it
gonna
every day.
say, like, maybe you'd be done. You'd
Right.
be like, I don't want chocolate.
Right. Yeah. You're like, chocolate, not my thing. Not my
Yeah.
thing. Yep. They're, hey, Jennifer. Hey,
Hi,
Crystal.
Jennifer.
Yes, on Kedzie. You know exactly what I'm talking about because you've had the, whoa, smell that experience. Because that's
Oh, is that the street?
it's on Kedzie. It's a street.
Okay.
Right. And so when you drive by it, you know, you're like, what's right? Oh, right there. And you could smell it. It's great. Okay. Well, we're going to see you on the back end of the show to perform your music. As you new to the show, Miriam is our musical muse. So she always sings a song that ties in with the theme of the show. So make sure you check her out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. And it's pretty straightforward. It's Miriam McQueen.
That's it.
So you don't have to like have any special handles, like remember 10 different handles to find.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I hate that.
You're right there. All right. We'll see you on the backside of the show.
Yeah. Catch you later.
All right. So that's Miriam. She's back. Last week she was under the weather. So we actually played one of her songs that she had on YouTube, which was a favorite for me, The Rainbow Connection, obviously performed by Kermit the Frog. Interesting thing, if you are a Muppet person, and I am a Muppet person, they're bringing back all their episodes in February and putting them on the Disney Channel, or Disney Plus. I'm sorry. I will be watching it because I don't care what anybody says. The Muppet Show was never meant for children, though I was watching it as a child. So I'm sure I'm going to love it even more now as an adult. So little thing, if you happen to enjoy the Muppets and want to laugh because you're stuck in the house, why not watch it? All right, everybody, before we jump into episode 26 of M.A.Y.A, My Ambition, Your Ambition, what do I always tell you something that we have to do to prepare for the show? You should know by now, especially if you are a returning listener or viewer, it's toolbox time. The one thing that we always start the show out with is something to know. It's a rule of thumb that you should be doing not just with the show, but you should be doing this every day, all the time, even when you're sleeping. Having your emotional intelligence out, your EI. Remember that refers to your ability to perceive, control, and evaluate emotions. And yes, even when you're sleeping, deep in REM sleep, you're still using your emotional intelligence. Just know that it's always working for you. But I want people to be really more cognizant that they're making decisions or thinking about things because it's on the table. So every time with every show, we always put our EI out there because you may do some self-reflection and really have to say, oh, that just struck a chord with me. Why is that? Why do I feel that way? That's because your EI is going to kick in and tell you, you know why you feel this way. It's because of this. So we got our EI on the table, so we can jump into episode 26. And this one came right after 25, which was obviously taking back your power, which hopefully you've listened to that. These two, I feel like they go hand in hand with each other when you talk about needing to get back on track to getting to that best version of you. So episode 26, finding or discovering or rediscovering your purpose. And a lot of people are kind of like, well, why does this matter? Because I think that I feel happy, right? Okay. Well, let's talk about what purpose is, because I kind of think the word itself can be a little elusive. But when we talk about it, let's just start with the literal meaning of purpose. Like this is straight from the dictionary. So what is purpose? As a noun, it's the reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists. So when you talk about that definition, to be more specific, keywords you'll hear kind of substituted for the word purpose, because people don't run around just dropping the word purpose. You may hear motive, motivation, grounds, cause. Oh, for those really, really people who like to be like intellectual, it's the impetus of it all. Occasion, reason, point. Those are reasons, different words that you'll hear often substituted for the word purpose. So you're probably like, oh, well, yeah, the purpose, the reason. Interesting. No one says the purpose for this meeting is this. They'll be like, the reason for the meeting is this. This occasion, it has a purpose to it. So it's not a word that's often used, but it has a really strong importance to helping you to get to the best version of yourself. If you talk about purpose as a verb, because the literal meanings gives you that noun and it gives you the verb, it's literally have as one's intention or objective. So that's the action side of you talk about purpose. So what you may hear substituted more in the verb meaning would be intend, mean, aim, plan, design. Words like that are often probably substituted instead of saying purpose. You may hear people use those words instead. So when you think of it that way in its noun and verb sense, you're probably like, oh, okay, well, now I think I can wrap my mind around talking about either finding or rediscovering my purpose, because now you can substitute in those other words instead and say, okay, so the reason I do this is this. The point of it is this. The plan is this. That's how you can put this more in that personal context for yourself. Some people, I suppose, depending upon where you're at in your personal journey, might say, okay, maybe this is like a really stupid question, but when it's all said and done, why does purpose really matter? Purpose matters for this very simple and straightforward meaning. It's how you determine how you're living your life. And what's important is, are you living your life in accordance to what your desired purpose is, which really gets back to the root of dreams and goals, because this is the source of purpose. There's a really good article that I'm going to post, and I'm going to tell you something. When I read this guy's article, Simon Bailey, for me, it really took on a whole nother kind of just putting this in perspective. So Simon Bailey is now like an international, like more of like a business coach for success. He's worked with thousands of corporations, managers, things of this nature. And in this article about why purpose matters and how to discover yours, and it's on success.com, but you can go to M.A.Y.A, another shameless plug for me. You can go to the podcast resource section after the podcast. Give me like 15 minutes. I'm going to post the article there. Simon was working for Disney. Sounds like a great job, right? Worked for Disney, married, has kids. In all terms of being successful, he was. And yet, he didn't feel as passionate about his life, though he had all the things that tells you should be in a good place. A job that people would love to have, a family, kids, the car, the house, money in the bank, all those things that are part of what we tell ourselves is the American dream. And he said he didn't realize that he really wasn't living his purpose or wasn't fully happy until at the time when he was there is when the first version of The Lion King came out, which we all love it. I never actually saw the live action version that they did. For some reason, I was just good with the old one. I'm just kind of old school, like leave my stuff alone. Don't touch it. Don't be changing it. But I guess a lot of people liked it, and it had new stars in it. So I guess it could appeal to a new generation. So be it. I just never saw it. Maybe I'll get around to it. But he said at the time The Lion King was out, and there's that scene where at this point, Simba has run away from obviously the pride after his father was killed. And that's where he meets his buddies, Timon and Timba, and they're out there having a good time, and he's living a free life with no restraints. He's happy. But yet he realizes something isn't right. And he has that vision, that very powerful voice of James Earl Jones, who played his dad, Mustafa, who says to him, Simba, remember who you are. You are more than what you have become. I legitimately forgot about that scene in the movie. But when I read his article, Simon T. Bailey, it kind of gave me chills. Because for me personally, I feel I'm in a very transitional place in my life. And purpose is a big part of it. And I had forgotten I remember the scene crystal clear. I remember it. But to hear him say, remember who you are more than what you have become. But this is the thing about purpose that's interesting, and why I titled the episode Finding or Discovering or Rediscovering Your Purpose. Because you may have some people that have not been in concert with themselves their entire life. They've never thought about purpose. By the way, they've never had time to take a breath to think about purpose, because maybe they've always been under duress. They haven't had good life. So the idea of purpose and power is kind of a luxury conversation to have. But on the flip side, you've got people that have really had some success. They've had good jobs. They've maybe traveled. They have a family. They've done tons of things that equate to what should mean you're happy. and what is success. But then you start hearing those terms like stagnant, feeling stuck, because you are not living in concert with your purpose. Think about that for a while. Just sit there. Every now and then I like to have those moments where you can sit in what I said and kind of really let it soak in. If you have had success and are living the American dream, or everyone looks at you and thinks, she's got it together, she's got it all, I am the most not put together person I think I possibly know. Going through menopause, I think I have a meltdown like every 2 weeks. Seriously. But I'm always challenging myself, seriously, because people will think on the outside that the world is great and you are doing good. But really, in the inside, you're unhappy. Purpose comes from the inside. And when you begin to manifest it, it steps out. And people can tell. People can tell. Can't people tell when you're in a bad place? Like, ooh, how you feeling today? And when someone's like, oh, I'm okay. If you know that person, you'll know, hey, it's okay to not be okay. But on the flip side, when somebody walks in and they're in a good place, the energy is there, the glow is there. The energy is just good to be around. So even when you don't know someone, here's the thing, energy comes from you, regardless if you know somebody or not. So an episode, I don't know, way back then, which was, as your focus goes, your energy will follow. So let's be honest, when a person has negative energy, when they have bad thoughts, negative thoughts, not happy, things aren't going well, then realistically, that energy comes off. They seem like they're just either in a bad mood all the time. They don't really smile. They're sad. They're just not in a good place. And you can tell even when you don't know that person. Have you ever just saw a total stranger, but you could tell by the look on their face that person wasn't happy, or that something was going on with them? You didn't know what? That's because our energy that we exude from us is so powerful. And that's why you got to be careful who you keep in your circle, because what you don't want to do is absorb that energy, because that can directly impact you. It can put you in a really bad place if you're not careful with the company that you keep, if they're not positive people. And I know that sounds like such a cliche, but it is not a cliche. Because how many people have you seen going off the beaten path, monkeying around with people that they shouldn't be monkeying around with? That's just real talk. And that means sometimes you have to separate yourself from people that you've had long-term and friendships with that you thought was fantastic. Real talk. It could be family members you have to go put in time out because their energy isn't right. Or you can take the courage and be like, I need to talk to you. What's going on? Because I've noticed this about you. And I'll be honest, real talk, most people are never in that right emotional and mental space where you can try to have good conversations with them, because unless they're listening to My Ambition, Your Ambition, those people are running back in their feelings and they're getting real deep into it because they think that you're being critical. When all you're saying is, I feel like there's something going on with you because I'm picking up this energy. Is everything cool? So just be mindful of that energy piece, because when you talk about working on your purpose, what you put around you is another part of this conversation that we'll get to. So why purpose? I mean, it's a pretty straightforward question, but it's a legitimate question. When you need that purpose because your dreams is a construct that is not tangible until you give it goals. You set forth how you're going to achieve something, and then it becomes action-oriented items. And then when those things start to come together, then the dream can manifest. But if you never quite know what you're trying to do, it's like, I want to do this. Now, let's be honest, all your dreams may not come true because some of them are not feasible. Some dreams are just that. They're just fun to have. Like, oh, it'd be great if I could be like, 5'6", 120 pounds. Guess what? That's not happening for me. I'm gonna be stuck at 5'1" forever. So I'm not growing. But I mean, so there's some things that you don't beat yourself up because you realize they're dreams that are never meant to be manifested. It's just that kind of space that you have back there where you just have pleasant things that you'd like to have, but it's not going to happen. But the key things are when you have dreams that you can manifest, those are the ones you got to pull forth. And this is where purpose helps you to define how those things can become reality for you. So when you talk about why purpose, because without it, you will continue to make wrong or poor choices. And the thing about that impacts your happiness, or more importantly, you may not get to the best version of you, or you may get stuck or stagnant and not truly live the life that aligns with your dreams, because that's what purpose helps you to do. So, Jennifer, you make a good point about winning the lotto. How many of us say, oh man, I wish I could win the lottery? But how many of us who say that never go buy a ticket? And I say it all the time. Man, changing the lottery, it could change my life if I've just played the lottery, but yet I never go buy a ticket. So clearly it's not going to happen because I'm not buying a ticket. I've done those fun things where people like in a group, they go buy a ticket when it's like, I guess like, billions of dollars, whatever, people in groups buy tickets. I've done that before. But for some reason, just for it being the luck and chance, and because I don't feel like I have the greatest streak on luck, that's why I don't buy lottery tickets. Because I feel like if I win anything, it's amazing. Like I get excited. Like if I win something, if I won a toaster, I'd be like, I can't believe that I just won a toaster. Because I'm not lucky like that. So that's why I never got into playing the lottery. But anyways, but the thing about dreams, it's those tangible dreams, the ones that really, that they resonate with you. Like, I want to be this, like, I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an artist. I want to be a music teacher, whatever it is. You got to figure that out and ask yourself if it's real. Is it tangible? Can it be reality? And that's where a lot of people don't strike the balance. And this is where purpose can really help you figure out those things that matter and can make a difference in your life. So when you talk about why purpose, like I said, it simply gets down to, it's how you can determine if you're living your life according to your desired or true purpose. That's the bottom line. It kind of becomes like your little litmus test, so to speak. My purpose is this. This was my dreams. How are these things matching up? Because here's the in-between is that dream, purpose, and the in-between is how you're living your life. And is it true? Is it congruent with how you feel and how you think things should be? And we have a lot of incongruency in our life. And a lot of it doesn't have to necessarily be by choice. It could be purely by circumstance because we feel that other people's wants, needs, and desires, remember we talked about power last week, somehow are supposed to supersede our own. Now, in some cases, I said that's not always bad because often if you have children, you're going to make certain sacrifices for your children. But when they become adults, it's like, does that behavior continue? And did you teach them a lesson about understanding the sacrifices that are made so that they could be where they are, so they understand how power, their personal power, plays into their life? It's an interesting lesson to have, but most people never think about things like purpose and power and passion. They kind of just pass it off, that it doesn't matter because this is deep thinking. Hello, Roburn. Thank you for tuning in. Being prepared for money is even more important than money is attracted to you. Energy. It's very true. The power of attraction. That's another whole show. Matter of fact, maybe that'll be next week. The power of attraction. Because it's about energy and what you put out there. And if you keep wondering why you keep attracting wrong things to yourself, you probably should step back and check your energy. Do an energy check. Like, what am I doing? Why does this always happen to me? I'm in a situation right now, and I feel like it's a repeated pattern that keeps happening to me with people. And I feel like it's got to be me because those people don't know each other, yet similar things have happened. And I know it has to be something about me that is eliciting that type of behavior from people. I know it's me. I'm willing to take ownership of it. The question is, what exactly is it about me? And is it something that I need to change? Or perhaps it's just, unfortunately, that is going to happen with people because they misunderstand something about the nature of my personality. So that's the key thing that can be challenging when you're doing that self-reflection piece. So purpose is how you determine if you're living your life according to your desired or true purpose. That's what it comes down to, your dreams. And that's why it matters and why it has value. So one of the things that Simon T. Bailey dove into in this article, which I definitely going to post, I want you to read. It's from success.com. As if you're trying to figure out ways to kind of start to tap into understanding if you need to locate, put a GPS out, an APB, like, hey, purpose. I'm not sure where you went, but I need you to come back. Or maybe you need to put a missing purpose out. Like, hey, my purpose is missing. I don't know where it is. Matter of fact, to be honest, I never knew where it was. It was always out doing something else, and I just let it. So whatever it is that you have to do to figure it out, it's okay. But he put some key things out there that I thought were good when you start exploring or trying to uncover it. He said, ask yourself a couple questions. He said, ask yourself, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And this is how you can get to, at the core of who you are, what you're really passionate about. Like, if you knew I could do this and I wouldn't fail, I was going to automatically be successful, I would do this without thinking twice about it. The reason that's important is because a lot of times the reason we don't fulfill our purpose is because the fear of failure. We think that, oh, I don't want to do that because I don't want to fail, or we feel the risk is too high, or the consequences, or it's not going to be easy. But often, because we do know people like to take the easy route, it's human nature. Challenging yourself to not take the easy route because what you really want takes some additional work is the complicated thing. So ask yourself when you're trying to figure out if you're living your life within the construct of your purpose, or if you're living outside of it. This is like that first question you start with. What would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? Life is about, absolutely, Jennifer, I agree with you. Life isn't about, it is about taking risks. But the thing is, challenge and change, we've turned those things into dirty words. But if you look them up in the dictionary, that's why I always give literal meanings of things on the show. It has nothing to do with adversity, negativity. It's unfortunately within our society, we tend to assign negative experience or values to things that may not necessarily be easy or may push us out of our comfort zone. Another episode, I think maybe 2021 comfort zones. That was the first episode of 2021. It might have been like 24, I think, the comfort zone conversation. So if you want to first kind of start to scratch the surface on this finding, discovering, or rediscovering your purpose, ask yourself this first question, write it down. What would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? Because that'll kind of show you where your interests kind of lie in regards to where you think you should be going or what you should be doing. And then when you ask yourself that question, here's what you do. Look at it and say, I would do this if I couldn't fail, but I'm doing this instead. Now, mind you, there's a narrative to everything. The question is, why are you doing this opposed to doing that? Everybody has a story that's unique to them. So you just might have been derailed for a different reason. Life takes us down different paths. But the question is, if that's really what you like to do, can you get back to that? Can you work your way back to that thing that you have passion about? Yes, you're right, Roburn. Calculated risk. All risk should be calculated. You should not be flying by the seat of your pants with everything. Though some people like to live like that, I would not suggest that with everything. I'm okay with every now and then dipping your toe in the water and be like, let me just try this out. As long as you know that the risk you're taking isn't like light threatening or is going to really just upend your life. So you're right, that calculated risk part is really important. Thank you guys. You're very active and talking and sharing. I like that. The next thing that Simon T. Bailey put out there that you should ask yourself that I thought was great is, what would you do even if nobody paid you to do it? That's that whole thing about, most people say they have jobs that they're not passionate about, but the pay is there. A lot of people do things for money, strange things for change, all that kind of stuff. Because money is not the root of all evil. Humans are usually, but it's how we make money seem evil because it's a necessity. And we need it in different amounts to do different things. And if you decided you want a certain lifestyle, then you might become a slave to the dollar because you want a certain lifestyle, which means you're willing to do a certain job that does not make you happy, but it gives you the outcome that you want. So it's how you choose to do something. And you're right, Jennifer, you also think about paying bills. I mean, let's be honest, we have a certain level of responsibility in life that, in a utopia, money wouldn't matter and we could all just do what we liked. In the beginning of time, it was like that. But we've since have moved on from that, and it's not that simple anymore. That, you need money to survive. And we see currently, not that we didn't already know, what happens when people struggle financially. We're seeing it from a national, it's happened globally too, but being that we're here in the United States, we're seeing it firsthand how many families are struggling. I mean, the increase of people going to food pantries, the amount of people now that have lost their homes, living, in motels, sleeping in cars. There is so much that's going on. There is so much that's going on. And as much as we like to downplay that the value isn't as real as we want it to be, it is real because you can't get by without it. So let's just be honest. We live in a commerce-based society and money matters. How you get money, how you value money, how you let money control your life is going to be totally incumbent upon you. I'm one of those weird people. I'm not enamored with money. I like nice things. I've had nice things. I've never wanted for anything, but I don't have the same weird connection to money. Like, I don't feel the need to make like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, if I do, that's fine, but I live within my means. I'm also not one of those very opulent people either. I live within my means, but I still have the things that I generally want. So I don't feel like I need money in excess. What's key is Marcus Rogers just said something, and I agree with you 100% on this. Selfishness is the root of all evil. Yes, it is. Flat out, hands down. Boom, you're right. And a key thing to really think about with this, I always say the thing that disturbs me in this country is there is more than enough for everyone here to have something. No one should ever, child, adult, whatever, elderly person, I don't care, black, white, green, plaid, whatever, should ever go to bed hungry. No one should ever not have a roof over their head. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that, remember, equality and equity, another great episode I did in understanding how that works in your relationships, are two different things. And it's important that you understand them. But when it's all said and done, there's enough for everyone. And when you're not selfish, you understand that. Yes, I'm big on too, you take and you give back, you strike the balance to it. If you have a little bit more and you can share with somebody, but we don't live in a society that actually teaches that. We live in a very individualistic society that we want to behave like we're collective. We're collective when it's appropriate to be collective, so to speak. So those are things that you're seeing always bumbling to the surface. That's a struggle. But when you understand your purpose, when you truly understand your purpose, this is when you will begin to kind of do things differently. Some people may never do it because they don't want to feel uncomfortable. Comfort, convenience, and control. The struggle is real right now for people. They don't know how not to exist with that. But there are other people, that's all they've ever known in their life. But yet they probably never have pulled back and even thought about purpose and power, because that are things for them that are just not tangible. And this is why no matter where you are, no matter where you didn't have it, it's never too late to tap into that for yourself. So if you could do anything and not, and it wasn't about being paid, that's another thing that tells you kind of where your purpose lies. Like, I would absolutely do this. If money didn't matter and I could just go do it, yes, I would do it, because I could do it and I'm not going to fail. Bingo, this is what I want. No one likes failing. I get it. But failure is the one thing that makes you better and stronger, because you don't like the way it feels, and you can learn from why you actually failed if you lose that kind of self-reflection and insight. The third thing that Simon T. Bailey mentioned in his article on success.com is ask yourself, what makes me come alive? So like, what are you passionate about? What is it that you just would do because it just makes you happy? It makes you light up. That's really key, because a lot of people speak of not being passionate about their work. Sometimes they get in situations and relationships and they're just no longer passionate about it, and they don't know why. So that passion piece, the thing that, passion is a huge drive and motivator. It's the thing that will make you, get up and do something. When you, especially, having some kind of things that motivates you are key to make you want to keep doing it. And one of the things he talked about at his job at Disney is he said, I did just enough of my work not to get fired. People would, that's some people's dream job. But he's like, I did enough just to not get fired, but I never did anything above and beyond because I just wasn't passionate about it. And once he kind of did this self-discovery, guess what? Now he does this with other people. Great article to read. Check it out. It'll be on after the show at about like 15 minutes or so. You can go check it out, read it. I think it's very insightful. I think it's got some good nuggets in it that you will enjoy. So let's have a real talk time. We do at least one of these a show, some RTT time. You got to ask yourself, okay, so when I'm asking myself these questions, why I'm asking myself these questions? Because remember, this is all part of that whole self-discovery piece, because the answer comes from within. These answers are not outside of you. And this is the key thing about being a counselor that I always tell people. I am not here to give you the answer about how to fix your life. I am really here to be a tool to help you figure out how you need to fix your life. All the heavy lifting is on you. I'm just going to make sure that your form is good. That's it. That's it. And my role as a recovery coach in regards to substance abuse, I'm not the one that's going to be able to help you stop using or stay clean. I'm only here to be someone to be supportive and to say, here, this is what we talked about are your barriers and obstacles. And here's the things we can put in place to help you do this. Here's the framework. Guess what? Now you have to go work the plan. I can't work it for you. And the reason that most people fail or not successful is because they want somebody else to work the plan. That's a reality, and it sucks, but it's true. The only plan that can be worked is you, and this is inside work. The meaning of life does not come from anybody else; it comes from you. So, when we talked about why I ask these questions, because there's a couple things. The objective of this: one, you want to examine your motives for doing what you do. So do you do what you do because it's about the money, the almighty dollar? We know sometimes people do it. They have to do it. Do you do it because you feel you have to do it? For the longest time, I lived my life in this vein that I had to be a certain kind of person because of the way that I was raised. I felt to be a failure, to not be successful, well, that would be embarrassing. And then I had that aha moment where like, hold up, wait a minute. I'm looking at some of these other people that I'm like, really like, I want you to be proud of me. Well, if you're not proud of me based on who I am and what I'm doing, what's the point? That means you really don't care about me as a person. So always examine your motives for why you do things. If it's for other people, if it's for money, but if somehow you don't keep coming back, if the word you is not somewhere in that motive, not a good thing. That clearly means that you are disconnected from your purpose or you never knew what it was. So examining your motives for doing what you do. If it's not about you, it's okay to be selfish. Know the difference between being selfless and selfish. There are times when you need to be selfish, and it doesn't make you a bad person. And now, how you choose to be selfish, because I know we just said that being selfish is bad. No, sometimes there are things that you need to do for yourself that other people may not want you to do because they're angry because it's not about them. That's okay. You're not doing something malicious that's going to hurt someone. This is really for the betterment of yourself, which means you maybe have to cut some dead weight off. Okay? It is what it is. This is the stuff that's not easy. But now if you're just doing stuff because I want it, I don't care if it hurts you, that's when it's wrong. But if this is really about getting to the best version of you and being able to say, I really need to unload this burden, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pay your cell phone bill anymore. You pay your own car insurance. I'm just giving you examples how I've seen people get pushback when they've told like family members, I can't do this anymore. And they were like appalled, like, why? You can afford it, when really the person couldn't afford it. But because of the image they had put out there, their family assumed that they could do it. So examine your motives for why you're doing something. Ignite your intuition. You know what's interesting? That gut feeling, we usually are very in tune and we know when things are right or wrong. We know when things are kind of hitting on all cylinders and you get that your spidey senses, that sense of doom and gloom. That's innate to most of us. And I'm going to tell you something at this point, especially if you're like most people who are listening, I think you're within my respective age group. We're like those middle agers. We're like in our 40s. There's some 30s. I get a little bit of everything in here. But I think when you really get to our age, and this is not to say if you're younger, you can't have good intuition, because I've always actually had relatively good intuition, but it grows as you become wiser. You will know when something isn't really working for you. It's having the courage to say it and then to do something about it. That's where intuition comes in. And this is when you find your purpose. Like, I know that I really shouldn't be doing this, but I've always known it wasn't the right fit for me. I've always known that, but I did it anyways because of what the outcome was. But now I know I want more. Something else to evaluate, and this is key. Evaluate the core areas of your life, because these are the things that often will motivate you to do things or to negate at times your intuition. So those, I can't tell you specifically what your core areas are, because everyone's different and have had different lives. For some people, a huge core area for them is their career. For some people, it's family. For other people, it's their spirituality. And this is like a microcosm that you have. In fact, I have actually a really good diagram that kind of talks about this in regards to when you talk about your purpose. This is something that is kind of like, there's always a diagram that will help you to understand something. So this is a diagram that kind of shows you that these are the different domains that exist when you're talking about purpose. So it's comprised of what you love. Passion and mission is part of that. And when all these things blend together, this becomes your purpose. What the world needs, because part of purpose we feel is that industriousness that we go forth and we do help other people. So that might be, what's your mission and what the world needs in your vocation? Are you doing something that makes the world a better place, or it changes something, it impacts in some way? Then there's that domain is what you can be paid for. Yes. Because we can't live, off of, just like manna is not falling from the sky. So when it's all said and done, for livelihood, part of your purpose is you need a job. So what is it that you can do that you might enjoy, that in that profession or your vocation? And then that other domain is, what are you good at? So using your talents and your skills. These things all blend together. And this is where your purpose comes from, the blending of these things. Now, here's what's interesting when I talk about this diagram, about these different domains that your purpose will originate from: what you love, what you're good at, what you can be paid for, and even that industriousness, what the world needs of you. What people need to understand about this, and I think people get this kind of twisted, so I want to make sure you know this and you earmark this, is that your purpose can grow and change over time. Because who you are at 20 may not be who you are at 30 if you're maturing properly. The matriculation process is happening at 40, and life experiences are shaping, and your needs and your wants change. So your purpose may shift a little bit over time, and that's not a negative thing. The thing is, are you checking your temperature enough to know when it's changed? That's the key thing. That's the thing that has to come into play for you, is understanding that as you mature, your needs and wants will change over time, and you should just, like I said, check your temperature. Like, you know what? Let me ask myself these 3 questions, where I'm at right now in my career. It's like your way of kind of just doing your own self-test to kind of make sure that you're staying in line, you're staying in concert with your purpose. So just know, because a lot of people kind of feel like purpose is going to be hard and fast. What generally is hard and fast is core values. And I want to say that somebody made a comment somewhere in there about core values. Yes, your core values, it's really a part of your purpose. Are you a person that's about integrity? Is career a core value piece for you? So this does matter, because those become the foundation that you will build up your purpose from, and also where you also will draw power from is your core values. Because when you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. But when you know exactly what you're not, I can't go for that. No can do. For real. That's how it works. But you won't be that way until you legitimately get in touch with your core values. By the way, that's some episode way back there. Maybe the next show I'll kind of say, hey, by the way, here is the list of different core values. But at the same time, you can always go to M.A.Y.A, and guess what? All the episodes are there. Or subscribe to my YouTube channel. Oh, and guess what? All of them are there. So just saying, that would be the easy way to kind of look through everything that's there and see what you would like to listen to. So how can we... So we talked about valuing your core values, but let's dig a little deeper. Let's dig deep. Let's dust it off. Let's take it off the shelf. Okay, let's do that, because this is another one of those real talk time moments. How you're going to work through figuring this out or rediscovering it, if you don't know, because like I said, maybe we've got a missing purpose out bulletin. Maybe we've got an APB out. Maybe your GPS was just off and you just realized you had the wrong destination in there. So now you've reset your coordinates in. So now you can get back on track. So let's dig a little deeper into this. And let's say, first of all, I want you to become more action-oriented this. So I want you to find and explore the reason you wake up every day. Do you wake up every day because, hey, I just did? Some people are like that. Look, I just woke up. Okay. Some people have things like, I woke up like this, because they're proud. They're intact. They feel passionate about who they are. And do you have that kind of passion? Are you grateful when you wake up every day? Healthy? Have a job? When you wake up, kind of what's your mindset? Because when you're in line with your purpose, you tend to feel better about how your mornings progress. And you really don't always wake up on the wrong side of the bed. But I'll tell you, when your purpose is misaligned or you're not connected with it, real talk, you wake up and you're like, best meme I saw. Everyone knows I'm like obsessed with The Mandalorian, like all these adults, the baby Yoda, Grogu. And the best meme was like, someone, she gets to work and her boss says, you're late. What happened? And the meme said, someone told me to go to hell and I couldn't find it. But then I got here and I knew where I was. Just anyways, you had to see the meme. It was funny. But how you wake up, that energy you wake up with, which by the way, is coming from your subconscious while you're sleeping. So how you go to bed, if you go to bed anxious or angry, that's going to manifest through your sleep. People don't understand this. It's all very connected stuff without me getting all Buddhist on you. It really is, because I meditate and I practice Buddhism. I'm not a Buddhist. I don't feel that I have enough knowledge to even have that, to make that claim. So I'm not going to say that. But for me, it's been very enlightening in the journey. Another thing, when you're trying to be more action oriented with really tapping into your purpose, you have to disown your fears. Because that's often the thing that keeps you from achieving what it is. And I would tell you, the only way you can disown your fears is pretty straightforward. 1, identify what the fear is. Is it the fear of being alone? Is it a fear that you won't have enough money to make it? Is it a fear that people won't accept you for who you are? What is the fear that holds you back from really tapping into your purpose? That's key, because you can't disown it unless you know it. And then you can separate yourself from it. So first, get in touch with what the fear is. The other part too is claim and commit to your values. Figure out what your core values are. Go back to that Maya episode, listen to it, figure out what your core values are, because this will help you to be able, it's your foundation for your purpose, and you will build up from it. So claim it and then commit to making decisions that are in line with it, that are in conjunction, that are in concert, all those positive words that you can create from it, because your core values help you to create who you are, the world around you, your relationships. Because if you come from a place of integrity, because integrity, as you can see, is one of my big core values, then it matters. And I try to do things with integrity. Even when people get pissed off at me, don't like me, you know. Jennifer, I'm with you too. I do have a fear of failure, but I will get right out there and do it anyways. My mother made me do that as a child, but I don't like it. But I won't let it overcome me, because I'll acknowledge and be like, I'm not doing this because I'm afraid of this. Boom. And then I'm ready to deal with it. And I have that internal conversation with myself. You're not crazy when you have internal conversations, even if you answer. It's just if you think that voice all of a sudden is somebody wiser than you, then that's when you might be a little concerned. But that's important. Claim and commit to your values. Make sure you do that, because that's a big part of you moving forward on this. And then take powerful actions. Once you know what your purpose is, you can't just think about it. You got to be about it. Don't just talk about it, be about it. And that's what a lot of people don't do. They know what they need to do. They're afraid to do it. So now that you know exactly what it is that you want to do, brings you joy, makes you happy, all those things, if you're not doing it, ask yourself a question: can I get there? Or what can be the thing that creates that balance for me? Because let's be honest, maybe I'm in a job where I make really good money, and what I want to do is just not going to cut the mustard, but perhaps I can find something to bring that into my life, so I can tap into that happiness that purpose gives me. It's very, very possible. It's very possible. It's very, very possible. So, final thoughts on this before we jump over to Miriam. Finding what's missing and taking realistic and manageable steps to bring more things into your life is what this is all about. There's no rush. Take your time. Do it with intention. Do it with purpose. And once you figure out these things that you're trying to achieve, work on your timeline and not on somebody else's. Because I guarantee you, a lot of your life has probably been on someone else's timeline. All right. That's episode 26. Find, discover, rediscover your purpose. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Let's go over to Miriam. I can't wait for her song. Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Musical Muse. How are you?
I'm so good.
So what did you think of the episode?
That was amazing. You made what did you say when you put out the APB? And
your missing purpose? Missing purpose? Yes.
Yeah, I was like, and then I can't remember what you said after that, but I was like, oh my God, her science fiction is coming out. I thought it was amazing.
It does. I'm a nerd, and everyone knows it. So yes.
I was like, Maya, yes, I'm living for this.
Yes. All right. So what song are you singing that kind of aligns with this theme?
I'm singing Follow Your Arrow by Casey Musgraves. It's just about, like doing you without the pressure of society, because no matter what, somebody's going to think you're doing something wrong in your life, so it's a matter of opinion.
That's right. So. But if it's your purpose,
yeah,
your purpose is not to please others. Your purpose is to please you.
Exactly. So
all right, let's go. All right, Miriam has the floor.
If you don't save yourself for marriage, you're a bore. If you don't save yourself for marriage, you're a horrible person. If you don't have a drink, then you're a prude. But they'll call you a drunk as soon as you down the first one. If you can't lose the weight, then you're just fat. But if you lose too much, then you're on crack. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. So you might as well just do whatever you want. So make lots of noise and kiss lots of boys, or kiss lots of girls if that's something you're into. When the straight and narrow gets a little too straight, roll up a joint or don't. Follow your arrow wherever it points. Follow your arrow wherever it points. If you don't go to church, you'll go to hell. If you're the first one in the front row, you're a self-righteous son of a can't win for losing. You'll just disappoint them. Just 'cause you can't beat them don't mean you should join them. Make lots of noise and kiss lots of boys, or kiss lots of girls if that's something you're into. When the straight and narrow gets a little too straight, roll up a joint or don't. Just follow your arrow wherever it points. Follow your arrow wherever it points. Say what you feel, love who you love. Just 'cause you don't get so many trips around the sun, yeah, you only live once. So make lots of noise and kiss lots of boys, or kiss lots of girls if that's something you're into. When the straight and narrow gets a little too straight, roll up a joint or don't. Just follow your arrow wherever it points. Follow your arrow wherever it points.
Well, that would be spot on.
Yes.
I think that covered all the bases,
Yeah.
including if you need something mood altering to be able to do it.
Yeah, I was like, roll up the joint. I was like, I wonder what Maya's going to think about that.
You know what? Look, people have been smoking marijuana forever,
know.
and it's legal just about everywhere now. So I'm like, it's not for me to judge. If that's your thing, that's your thing. That's your thing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Or
You got-
don't.
there you
roll
go.
up a joint or
You got-
don't.
Jennifer
Thank
said
you,
bravo.
Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer.
Right. You know, that's the thing is we're so busy. People spend so much energy judging other people when really they should be worried about themselves and working on themselves. But it's a better distraction when you can be critical of someone else.
I was going to say, it's just another distraction. I deal with a lot of those people. And yeah, if you're thinking about somebody else, you're not thinking about yourself and what you have to deal with. So,
and do you feel that dealing with those people does that drain your energy? Do you feel like,
oh my gosh, it's so draining because they're like they're so negative about it, and then like they'll always find something about someone, and so it's like, at what point does it stop? At what point, are you not judging somebody else? Like, what's wrong in your life? Like, let's talk about you for a second, because you love talking about somebody else. Let's talk about you, So, yes, I do deal with those people.
And that's the thing I caution people about, is that negative people in your emotional and mental space can really have a greater effect on your life than people realize. Because one, it usually takes you off task because you're focusing on something they said and not what you need to be focusing on you.
Yeah.
Then often, especially if you're really enmeshed in those kind of relationships, you find yourself accommodating them more than what you should. So it's a very complicated thing. And a lot of times those negative people are often the people that are going to be the most difficult to get rid of or let go of.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, because I'm a bartender. And so I've noticed in the service industry, most of the workers can be a little negative and down, and they kind of are like, I just hate all of this, And so every time I go into work, like, I'm super uppity, and I'm like singing along to the songs and trying to like be positive, just to keep it, from getting too heavy, because everybody just hates everything. And so like they'll notice, they'll be like, oh, Miriam, you're not like super like joyous today. And I'm like, it gets exhausting trying to uplift everybody else in their negative feelings,
I can agree. I totally understand that. And the thing is, it does get exhausting. That's why self-care is important no matter what job you have, because as long as you're dealing with another human being, chances are somebody is tapping into your energy.
Yeah.
And some people have stressful jobs. And you're right. You in the service industry, you deal with a lot of people.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of stories, and
Yeah.
it can be really draining because at the same time your own life is happening. And this is
Mhm.
why you hear the word self-care more and more with people.
Mhm.
And I don't think enough people do it because it takes time. Well, that's what it's supposed to be about. You taking time for you to make
Yeah.
sure that you can stay emotionally and mentally healthy.
Yeah.
So so hopefully you're doing, I know that your music is your self-care. So,
Yes. It's part of my self-care.
So
Yeah.
at least, I mean, you have something. So, hey, about the purpose part, I mean, I'm assuming that your answers to if you could do anything and not fail, if you could do anything, it isn't about being paid. Was music your answer to
Yeah.
all those questions?
Yeah. I mean, I was like, you already know the answer.
I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know that Miriam's going to answer music,
Yeah.
music to all those questions.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I think it's fantastic. You found it, and you've been really working on your
Yeah.
music. You write your own stuff, which I
Yeah.
love. So make sure everybody you check out MiriamMcQueen.com. It's all things Miriam. She has songs that she's written. She does covers. I even liked your cover of Beyonce, If I Were a Boy.
Oh, that was forever ago. My voice sounded so small too. I listened to it like the other day. I was like,
you know what? I would say that your vocal styles have definitely grown.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, because Time is a Bomb, which I'm just in love with that.
Yeah.
So make sure everybody you go check that out. That's a song that she wrote.
Yeah.
So
more coming soon.
Yes. So make sure you check it out. That's actually one of her original songs that she wrote. There's a video to it.
Yes.
I'm kind of tempted to play it at the end of the show because I can't.
I mean,
I think I will. All right. I'm going to take.
you might as well.
I might as well. I got like 4 minutes left. So I'm going to go ahead and take you off, do my housekeeping items, and we're going to end the song with Time is a Bomb because it really is about you and purpose. I think it ties into good to talking about purpose too.
Yeah. At the end of the show, you should start saying like, unbuckle your seatbelts because you always say buckle up.
You're right.
You should say unbuckle now, guys.
The plane has landed. You can.
The plane has landed.
Please do not stand until you're, all this stuff. All right. Sit tight. I'm gonna wrap up the show, and we'll go ahead and we'll do that. All right, everybody. So that is Miriam McQueen, the M.A.Y.A musical muse. So, like I said, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you listen to episodes of M.A.Y.A at MAYAkai.com. It's one way you can listen to it. Remember, there's going to be some podcast resources up for this. That Simon T. Bailey article, I'm going to put up in a couple more because I think they're great to have. So make sure you go MAYAkai.com, podcast resource section. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. If you happen to have a platform of choice, I won't hold it against you. You can find me on iTunes, Google, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and now I'm on Amazon Audibles as well. So I appreciate everybody joining the conversation. And like I always say, that your present becomes your past and your future is no more. So you have to live every single day to the fullest. Simply because there is no promises for tomorrow, but you should treat each day like it is a promise. It's a key thing. So that's it. Let's go ahead and wrap up the show with Miriam's song because it's great. And it does really talk about purpose. It's just one of those kind of all-inclusive type songs. You know what? Here we go. Time is a Bomb by Miriam McQueen.
I feel grateful today that I woke up the same way I do every day. Though it's been taken for granted, my famished mind needed to rest, and all this time I've been getting undressed because my shirt has been weighing too heavy on my shoulders. Work is what I do, but it's not what I'm supposed to. I try, it's just so hard sometimes. Why lie when you just can't rewind? Time is always ticking, we all know it's a bomb, and my eyes won't stop blinking, ready for it to go off. Kindness is a gift I'm not giving myself. Money is a trick disguised as wealth, but I feel happy today. Looked at the clouds and saw them change the way they do when it rains. It's like the air I'm breathing is feeling too. It fills my chest and lifts my mood, and I've been needing it because my shirt has been weighing too heavy on my shoulders. Work is what I do, but it's not what I'm supposed to. I try, it's just so hard sometimes. Why lie when you just can't rewind? Time is always ticking, we all know it's a bomb, and my eyes won't stop blinking, ready for what I've needed or deserved. I can't help thinking, this is it now, this is me. How'd I ever slow down? I know I've wasted a lot of my time, but I'm taking it back. Because my shirt has been weighing too heavy on my shoulders. Work is what I do, but it's not what I'm supposed to. I try, it's just so hard sometimes. Why lie when you just can't rewind? Time is always ticking, we all know it's a bomb, and my eyes won't stop blinking, ready for it to go off. Kindness is a gift I'm not giving myself. Money is a trick disguised as wealth.
Get inspired, get motivated with M.A.Y.A and the M.A.Y.A, My Ambition, Your Ambition podcast.
Something that I take pride in is trying to be forward thinking outside the box, challenging myself. And as I challenge myself, hopefully I challenge you.
Find M.A.Y.A on Twitter and Instagram at M.A.Y.A_Akai. On Facebook at M.A.Y.A Akai Presents.
We're going to talk health, wealth, fitness, mental health, financial, lots of different things that can empower you as you seek out the ambition that you're pursuing.
Or get everything M.A.Y.A at M.A.Y.A Akai.com.